players like Swizzy, who's a global champion going into this year. Both his teammates didn't make major finals, and now Swizzy is not starting off strong. We talked about what's it going to take. Kinch put the numbers together, estimates 5 good end games or 250 to 300 points for a top 20. When we say good end game, we mean top 5 with 4 eliminations. So if you're like Noah and Reason, who are contested off spawn, when they win their off spawns, they got 28th, 11th, 29th. That's just not good enough to be in that range to qualify. So they're going to have to pick up the pace as we continue forward. The good news is we've only played out 3 matches, another 3 to go today, and then tomorrow a whole other 6. So for Sky and Scroll, at least, they are comfortably sitting in that #1 spot.
And the main thing for them is they just want to keep trying to extend that lead. Right now, they're 20 points ahead. Second place, Chino Pablo sitting at 156 heading into this 4th lobby. So Sky, Scroll, they're not looking to let their foot off the gas pedal anytime soon here. And they've really done an excellent job, I think, at kind of proving the analyst as points from that pre-show, Takada, because so far their worst placement on the day is a 10th, and that was with 4 eliminations in tow.
Yeah, and they're the only team that has an average placement better than 10. Everybody else is 10 or worse, which is honestly quite interesting. It just shows how difficult this lobby is. They're currently average placement of 6, so I wouldn't expect anything less. I mean, having an average placement of 4 in the Div Cups leading up to this, Sky and Scroll, they know how to play consistently.
It's always going to be a sight over at Wonky Land, though. Tweg and Midro actually taking a stab right now at Sharkantini, and they've been eliminated. This surprise aggression just pulling up, catching Sharkantini completely off guard here, not allowing them any opportunity to recover. Even with the Twin Hammer shotties, Tweg just felt very confident in that aggression, and have to expect that Sharkantini, they were so low, likely from having just fought Huddy and Fishy is what I'm guessing, but yeah. Either way, Takada, they'll be sent packing, waiting for Lobby 5.
That's what I was wondering. Did Sharkantini fight Huddy Fishy and then there was like a third party that came through? I guess that's my assumption, but either way, that is not how you want to conclude a match like this, especially when the most recent matches for Sharkantini have been 27th and 18th. They've been getting eliminations, but in the end games, it's just not been going their way. Chat Flixie, they had a good zone in the last match, but you can't pull good zones every single game. Good news is when you're up there, you do have the super pad. Takes you over 330 meters in the sky to combine it with the Flowberry overdrive. So they've got the rotate on lock, rotated in early. And for Swizzy, we saw how this match started. Let's hope it doesn't end that way.
It's always going to be an uphill battle, though, when you're left as a solo. The reboot opportunity, a little bit more difficult to come by because there are just so many teams kind of rotating through that position. And so it makes it difficult because obviously sound audio cue is going to draw attention, and then you have to deal with everybody else taking your duo one more time, just putting your net surge even further and further into the dirt. Lunix and Wolvex, though, they might have to contend with Yepko and Panzer soon enough at Painted Palms. Both of those duos kind of just taking things in stride here today. Khan and Faded, a duo that has already confirmed themselves for one LAN taking place this year, Takada. Later on with the Reload Elite Series finish that they had, knowing that they're going to be on the battle bus for the EWC LAN later on this year, but they would obviously like to join the top 20 players for the Major One Summit LAN too.
That would be ideal, being able to make both. Kamihari, we mentioned it earlier, Kami's now leading the pack in finals appearances, but I'm just gonna ignore, forget what happened in the last match, okay? Let that not affect our mental. Continue on forwards. Other than that, I've been very impressed with Hari and Kami. They've been playing aggressive for height. It's been working most of the time. And for Swizzy Pixie, it looks like due to the early game, they've been put into a bit of desperation here. They need a damage, they need loot. But I don't know if Chap and Flakesy is the duo you want to fight.
Looks like they might have gotten what they needed, though. No, Plixie's shields being so low tells me that took a lot more damage than what he was anticipating from Pixie Swizzy, and that allowed them the primary opportunity to disengage. Probably still in a little bit of a hole, though, with their net surge overall, given that opening point, but something's better than nothing at this stage. This new Sanctuary continues to be just carved out, scary in size, making sure that there is no scrap metal left behind.
They're aware, though, there are quite a lot of players. You can look at the minimap, 3 different duos in the surrounding area. And then when you're playing in a finals lobby like this, the patterns, you got to remember them. Glove G Prax already kind of rebuilding up their tower. There was another one north of them. Pico Malabuca, it's not been going horribly for them. I mean, they're top 10. They're well in qualifying range for Dusseldorf, but when you think of the name Pico, when you think of the name Malabuca, these are FNCS champions. They have LAN experience. This is some of the best in EU. It's those veteran players. So I'd like to see them higher up, but can't complain with the top 10.
Great opportunity, though, right now for Yepko and Panzer. Already got some initial damage onto Sliz, and Panzer will be able to convert it into just a clear elimination now. Schmally just trying to stay hidden, hoping that Yepko Panzer don't decide to continue the aggression. Got a rock for coverage right now. But this is always just so awkward because it just puts such a massive delay into your overall plan. You can see already that zone pulling a little bit more southern. Schmali's gonna have a lot of ground to make up for here, and don't know how long Yepko and Panzer are actually gonna choose to stick around.
Yeah, but Yanis, even though, much more favorable position. We've seen what they end up doing with all the surge bases here. You do have to be careful now, though, because you try tagging the other surge bases, but you take damage yourself. It is the net surge now. So it's not quite as easy as before.
Was not really liking those up-close and personal fighting options, though.
Oh.
I mean, great Twin Hammers, great Iron Pump, rough, but...
Interesting.
Hydra and Tweg. They've got control of the mending machine, a couple of patch-ups. Huddy Fishy, though, they are just trying to see if they can break into the box. They want to get really aggressive here against Twek and Hydro, and for good reason. Fishy going to open up with a big knock. That just means it's all down to Twek to try and defend this duo's hopes here, but it's just not going to be enough, and there is so much time now for Huddy and Fishy. They've got the wheel to make their next rotate, but we saw what happened inside of the heat that they played. The one lobby that they didn't have to worry about Shark and Teeny at all, they were able to convert into a victory royale, Takata. So now the question is, can they do it again in a set lobby finals?
Well, based on the way they've started out this day, they basically have to. It's all I'm gonna say. 43rd place, 8 points. They need a massive match here. For 9, though, the quick zip line shot. But yeah, I'm hoping we see Huddy and Fishy make something happen, because I would like to see them up there.
Nathan and Nebzo over by Sus Studios, just kind of hanging around their surge base, but they're going to need a little bit more surge. Only 34 above net threshold. Venus and Franek not too far away from their current position, but they'd rather take shots at the teams that are still working their way in from Storm, teams that just want to make it into the next edge of zone in the first place. That's why we're seeing a lot of teams that are kind of hurting for surge, just lingering around the edge of zone. They know that's likely going to be their best opportunity. Since they're the first ones, you always want to take advantage of the late arrivals, but have to be wary. The moment you send out shots, you might even draw attention from other teams that are, you know, maybe boxed up a little bit higher than you. We've seen players get punished for that before.
That we have. Lucia Howley. Strong start to the day but it was just that one match. Rest of them haven't gone quite their way, but no O'Reilly reason. They need to find a refresh here, and the aggression is not lacking, but it's left in a 1v1.
Shaco's, though, is incredibly low, and just look at those chug jugs. No O'Reilly going to be able to convert, and the elimination, Tilio and Shaco's, now means that Reason should be able to take advantage of those chug jugs left after the fact. So, despite a rocky start, this is looking like a little bit of the road to recovery for these two.
Thinking about recovery, Honey and Fishy continuing to apply pressure. It's actually Deemish Storm who get completely taken out. They were 200 below Surge. They were forced to make an aggressive play. And Honey Fishy are looking very good now. Incredible loadout, matched Surge, everything you could ever want. You called it, Taco. Once they had an opportunity like this previously, they won the match, and they're looking to do it here in the major finals.
It would be ideal. It's always nice to jump a few placements on that leaderboard, but Nebs, Nathan, they were trying to take a route that dipped a little bit more into a ravine over by New Sanctuary, hoping to conserve some of their material, but unfortunately they were not the only ones. Surefour and Repairs gonna cause them to expend a little bit more mass than what they would like to, and there are just so many other teams as well already based up higher health positions. Ooh. Great job there by Thomas. Finds a nice elimination. It's a 2-pack finish for Focus and Thomas, but even with 2 eliminations, they're still only 128 above. Focus trying to eat pizza on the way in, but Cody just looking to try and hold this duo out.
Yeah, Nebs Nathan, though, doing a good job looking back here. They need to find these tags. Use the flow mish to tank a bit of the Surge. Scroll now, though. This is the worst we've seen them heading into an end game. They're always a good amount above. Now they're just right bouncing up and down the Surge threshold above and below. We'll see if they're capable of finding a good amount of tags here.
But it's a lot of our top 10 leaderboard players that are kind of struggling with their Surge in this lobby, Takata. Nebs and Nathan, they're still sitting 79 below, having to use up a lot of resources just to try and heal it out, hoping that the lobby takes care of itself. As Thomas, you can already see, just too problematic. Focus eliminated. He'll be forced to play the remainder of this as a solo, and Nebs Nathan immediately jumped on. Teams can smell it out when a duo is hurting. Surefour Repairs, they take their opportunity to strike, refresh, something that they're likely in need of as well, as Thomas trying to take advantage of these players gliding in after the fact. Good shots out of the sky, but there's so much action taking place here, and Medius, I have a feeling there's only one reason we are watching it, Takata, and it's just the Surge woes continuing to put so many of these duos into very awkward positions.
Even Chaff and Flixie. I mean, so many of our top teams, they are all going down from coming off a 10 elimination win to getting eliminated before the end game has even begun. Cringe Volko also winning the first match. Now 197 below. We were talking about it. All these top teams, they are just put into panic now as we see how Cringe picked up Flixie. Great shot connecting, but this is getting chaotic.
But even if you got high ground, if you don't have Surge, you can't really do much with it. Instead of being able to apply pressure to the duos underneath, maybe look for some clean refresh eliminations, instead, Cringe just begging for survival at this point. Sky, Scroll, another team that we know is leading on the day, first place position on the leaderboard, but even when we checked in with them, they were still so incredibly low on their Surge, and Cringe, he's just praying an opportunity opens up, but no one is really giving him the chance to try and take any shots. He has to connect. It's now or never. Otherwise, the Surge is just going to take him out. And before he can even try and react, the player just scouts out solo. That'll be a wipeout. Ika Malabuka, though, they actually do have Surge to work with, but they are waiting to see where their next rotational pool is actually going to hinge upon.
This is a perfect opportunity, though, for duos like Vico Malabuka, who are in 10th and even below, Now with a lot of these top teams having gone down, it's your chance to push your way up that leaderboard. Side note, I saw Thomas HD solo in height with no shield.
Hey, fake it till you make it.
Let's see what he can do.
He's postured up right now. It's very obvious. He might even be hoping that somebody tries to challenge him on height, because if he can connect just one big shot, that could be the difference maker. Siphon loot, siphon health. You never know when the tables can actually turn in your favor. Thomas hoping to be given a little bit of a break here, but Panzer, Yapko, the way that they're sort of hovering that secondary height, they choose to go up now. The wait and see as Thomas has found options. Schmally, though, cleared out. It's a body that Thomas can't get to, though. With no fist, no overdrive grenades, he just doesn't have any mobility.
Yeah, he doesn't really have anything, to be fair. Pablo Chino, though, great job picking up an Elim. This is one of our top duos who are looking healthy. As now Sky and Scroll getting closer as well to height. Thomas, if he's known for anything other than the second places, it's his aim. And that's showing with the Elim, but Vico Malabuka as well now. Picking up some extra Elims as Sky and Scroll seem to have made a solid comeback.
Lepshi was looking a little bit pinched there for a moment, but Sky Scroll indirectly going to be able to bail him out, putting pressure against Vico. Is going to force him to close off here, but Cheatin' Giannis, 10 splashes, a pizza. They've definitely got the heals for it. A good amount of material count, too. And one more time, a south pooling zone that's just extending them the favor of being able to take over height for the time being. But it's one thing to have height, it's another thing to hold it. And we've seen how many swap overs have taken place in the previous lobbies beforehand. Thomas HD, though, still kicking as a solo. Forced to play, though, from a lower layer. He's just hoping that he can get that one big shot. Managed to find an overdrive grenade, though, at least along the way here, but still, he needs to find a player that's going to be weak enough to fall the moment that he connects with this Chaos Reloader. It is just so threatening, and he just doesn't get the chance.
Still a good clutch for what he entered the end game with. Giannis cheating, though. A lot of the big teams kind of struggle in this match. I'm not sure how many retakes we'll see come through. Pablo Chino, though, this is one of the big teams that are doing it incredibly well in this match. If they want to push their way up in that leaderboard and separate the gap from the players below them, now is their chance. Moneymaker goes down. The pressure is on for these teams below, but Giannis and Cheatin', they are smooth cruising up in the clouds.
And Size and Scary, they're just hoping to stay standing on their 2 feet here. Size gonna be the first one to be knocked, though, from the pairing, and Scary just scrambling all around, doesn't have any build, so he's just waiting to try and avoid as many shots as possible. But Malabuka, Vico, they've sent it, they've gone for height. Giannis Cheatin', though, they're not gonna forfeit it anytime soon here. Another overtake, they managed to hold strong. Vico Malabuka forced to drop, and that left them in such a tattered position. They're now trying to get the job here onto Cheatin' and Giannis, but they've got more than enough materials to work with, so they'll be able to just reconnect later on, slightly lower, but still applying so much pressure to this lobby. And the pizza's gonna come out, still have the overdrive grenades. Panzer also dropping straight to ultimate low, picking up eliminations along the way. He needs the points. He lost Yapko, but the siphon isn't gonna be enough. The storm is too much to contend with.
We're reaching the moments where the chaos unfolds on low. Players running out of mats. Giannis has gone down, though. I hope he didn't slip. Lucia, Howley, they capitalize on it. Overtake height, looking to close it out, but we still have Sky and Scroll down below. Elimination after elimination getting picked up. The regroup comes through as well. Can Howley and Lucia close this out? Will Sky and Scroll be able to win from below?
Can't count out Cheatin', though, who's also trying to play a little bit of a healing game from inside the storm. But Sky, Scroll, they need more mats. They're going to go for the chomp on height. They managed to at least take frontside position onto the hill. Zone pull working so heavily in their favor. Sky, Scroll, they might be able to get this done. But no, Sky, he's sent packing. A little bit of a challenge there from Cheatin', but the siphon onto Gonzo. That's going to be a huge lifeline here. Scroll Scroll and Sky, they're just looking to see how many points can we send ourselves forward on this leaderboard for the first place position. Cheatin' finds the shot though. Sky has been taken out. Giannis cheering on his teammate in the background, I'm sure. But Scroll, he able to catch him just off guard in those final moments. It was a great attempt though by Cheatin', nearly brought it back, Dakota.
I was starting to get nervous a little bit there for Sky and Scroll. Neither player had shield. It was looking like they could lose the 1v2, but our most consistent duo, not only on the day, through the whole season, it's looking strong. Let's head back to the desk so they can break it down.
Thank you very much, guys. Finally, we see Sky and Scroll taking a victory royale. They were not relying on wins at all in their heat. They're so consistent, they don't need to, but it's fantastic to see them take a W11.
They are keeping that average placement low, and can we just give props to Sky there for being the highest impact knocked player in the tournament so far. You saw just how much Cheatin' was just trying to find the finish, and Sky is just like crawling behind the object so he can't get shot, and so Cheatin' couldn't get the siphon, and then it just allows Scroll to roll on through and hit the shot the second Cheatin' left the box. Well played from these two again. It's been an impressive day. I think the win just summarizes how good they've been so far, Minnie.
Yeah, and even in that end game, they were quite quiet. A lot of the sort of focus, I suppose, was on the height and the teams up there. Players, of course, playing up in those mid-ground layers, but they were just silently, quietly getting their eliminations down on the mid-ground, finding their refreshes, not trying to do anything too crazy, playing out their game as we know that they can do. And I'm glad that you mentioned that the knocked body situation right there, because I was looking at it from the other angle. I was looking at it from that, whatever it was, like telephone pole or whatever it was that was actually saving them that game. I think they have that object, whatever it was, to thank for that as well. Really nice genius plays from them, but it just shows that these guys can win games. We spoke about them being very consistently making that top 2 from that top 5 situation. We broke it down at the beginning, but what we haven't seen so much from them, particularly when it comes to the heats, of course, was that victory royale. That was almost the missing thing from what we've seen in FNCS, and there it is in that game. Really nicely played. They didn't panic, and I think it was Scroll who picked up a really crucial shot onto Gonzo. Wow. I mean, that was a beautiful one in itself. I mean, that was incredible. Shows what they can do individually. It was Sky, actually. This shot right here keeps them in the game and keeps them alive there as well. And this was the object here, Levin. It was this moment right here that allowed Cheatin' to, or didn't allow Cheatin' to go for the finish and then ultimately win them the game. Really nicely done from them.
Minnie,
I love how...
Can I say the words?
Go.
You can say it.
Can I say it?
I'll load
Jeez Louise, these guys are too good. I mean, how do you stop these guys? How?
GG, Levin. Let's head back to the lobby. You guys, let's head to a break.
Watch me arrive. Watch me arrive. Watch me arrive.
Two teammates have his back. Where's Nash? Gets the drop on the Marion. Stays alive. They're targeting up Vanya. 3v1.
A masterclass from Sky and Scroll before the break, taking game 4 in style. Let's take a look at the leaderboard and see where we are 4 games into the Major 1 finals here in Europe, because it's been a really interesting day so far. Disappointment for some big names, but if you take a look at the top, Denmark is celebrating. Pablo and Chino. We're expecting to see them in Dusseldorf, but I don't think we're expecting them to see them in number 2 on the leaderboard right now, Mini Miner.
Yeah, it's funny because it feels weird to say we weren't expecting them to, because they're such great players and they've achieved so much as of late with the trio of Fredoxy. They just hasn't been their season, but they're turning it up to 11 here for the major finals, 11. They've been performing very well, exactly as we expected them to. It's another good end game for those guys right there as well. 5th place with 3 eliminations. Not necessarily too frag heavy, but especially in some of those zones, it was really, really tough for them. A little Pablo Wingu solo clutch here as well. All the way up to that top 5, but really nicely done from these guys. Can they keep the consistency there?
Yeah, man. Look, Frankie's talking about surprises. Hey, I wasn't surprised. I think everyone else should stay on that side, because I told you Chino and Pablo have something for this lobby, and they have shown that today again. It's going to be hard to catch up when you have Sky and Scroll, monsters of the region above you, but they are really showing a good account of themselves today.
It's really great to see them getting things done as a duo, as opposed to Pablo just having to be the one to hide and clutch it out for once. I'm really excited to see more from these guys. If we take a look further down the leaderboard, look at number 6, Sires and Scary. We have to talk about these so that Takata will pay us handsomely. A Spanish duo, relatively unknown in this lobby 11, but they're impressing with their consistency.
Yeah, look, they've got a lot of experience, right? Sires and Scary have been around for quite some time now. And I think ultimately, yeah, a big surprise that they've been able to sort of make it to endgames. And the reality is when they've made it to endgames, they've now had, sort of 2 games where, again, they've actually shown a good account. They obviously had that 3rd place in game 2. And in that game there, when they run out of steam, they're still able to just get a couple of limbs that just keep them ticking on that leaderboard. So really impressive here from the Spaniards.
It's also impressive for Janice and Cheatin. We saw them taking high in one of the earlier games today. They went for the same strat this time, and they didn't fall off, Mini Miner, because we were teetering on the edge for a moment there.
Yes.
Well,
they didn't both
until they
fall
did.
off.
Yeah, they didn't both fall off until Janice did. They held height really well. Ultimately, we saw, I think it was Malambuka going up without Vico, weirdly enough, and tried to sort of disrupt that high ground. Didn't quite work out for him, but it ultimately meant that they then got sprayed out. It actually helped them because they were actually able to connect then to a existing Sky base, an existing Surge base that was already in the area. The reason why they didn't win the game, that telephone wire pole thing, whatever that thing is, was ultimately the reason why I didn't have a good shot at winning right there, and of course their Sky and Scroll won. Unfortunate to see another fall damage. Again, I don't love to see it, but it just reminds me that these players are human, and I am not the only one that does that.
Yeah, and Janice is a legend, right?
He's a bit upset with himself on that one. He actually tweeted out saying, "I'm a sellout." So he obviously feels like, they would have had a better game had it not been for him dropping off. The one thing I'll say to you, Janice, is you're doing amazing. I think so many people counted these guys out and were not expecting them to be anywhere near the top 5. And so to see them playing as well as they played so far today, props to them.
Yeah, props to Cheating as well for clutching that second. It very nearly looked like he was going to win that 1v1 he isolated. So great to see such a great turnout from these guys. But I want to see who isn't doing so well. I know that sounds particularly evil. Send all your complaints my way. But it's because as we get to the later pages of the leaderboard, we're seeing some big names here who are in big trouble. Remember, the first 2 pages are what counts. If you want to make it to the LAN in Dusseldorf, top 20 is where you need to be. And if we head to the very last page, which we never do on a day 1 of a grand final especially, we are making an exception because in 47th place, Levin, it's Swizzy and Pixie.
Big man Tin, it's not looking good, bruv. It's not,
3 eliminations.
It's not looking
3.
good. Look, we highlighted it. Mini set the expectation at the start of the day that Dark Dominion was going to be it's going to be tough because there's going to be teams sort of in and around the area giving you problems. Even Mini couldn't foresee just how crazy it was going to get there, right? We tune into that POI and there's like 4 different teams at the start of the game, and it's like Swizzy and Pixie, they have no room to breathe whatsoever, and they're really struggling to deal with it. I don't see things getting much better anytime soon. They're in a tough situation.
Well, there's just 2 more games today for these guys to reset and just try and get something done. You know, gone are the days of the 1.5x multiplier. They need to have ideas and they need to have them right now as we head into game number 5 with Taco and Takata.
Part of those new ideas might even involve a new drop spot altogether, Takata, and that's kind of, I think, a difficult spot to be in if you are such a veteran duo like Swizzy and Pixie, because normally you'd anticipate, you know, I've done my time in the scene. I should have this fully uncontested, but Truly and Gonzo, they just won't have any of it. So we'll get a chance to see what's actually taking place in Game 5 here one more time.
The good news is, as we've been mentioning, it's a 2-day tournament, so you kind of have the transition from day 1 to day 2 to do your homework, do your prep, and kind of decide. Swizzy Pixie, are they going to switch their drop? What are they going to change? Because clearly something isn't working. And side note, I mean, what is up with players falling off a height? I feel like almost every game today, at least one player has fallen off a height and gone down. I don't know if I'm losing my mind, but it's got to be more matches than not.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is it happens to the best of us, and as many already kind of pointed out, everyone is human. And I think that those instances where we happen to catch players at some of their worst moments, it goes how it goes, but that's not to say that they can't make a recovery point later on.
That's true. That's true. I'm curious too at Wonky Land how things are going. I mean, in the last match, not too well, but for Noah, Riley, and Reason, also not too well for them. They won the initial fights off spawn. Now for the 4th match, they went down here in the 5th one. We'll see if that can change.
What they're really after is just getting these first couple of eliminations onto Xteria and Adapted. They know that there's going to be other players challenging them at Squibbly Shores, so the longer it takes them to wipe out this other duo, the more dangerous it's going to be to actually stick around inside of Squibbly, because then you don't know where players might choose to actually try and crouch high behind every single nook and cranny. You just don't want to take your chances of opening a door. Next thing you know, 2 players waiting in tow with shotguns at the ready. It's just, it leaves too many things up to chance, and chance isn't something that Reason and O'Reilly can really contend with right now, because they've got to get more points. You want to close out day 1 strong.
Looking over at chat, Flixie. Trying to see if I'm concerned or if this is totally fine. We have teams from afar taking shots. I don't think full aggression is going to come through, but chat, Flixie, they have picked up one. The player down below trying to swim his way out of it.
Oh my goodness.
It's not looking good. Double pizza too. Legendary pistol. Hold on.
I was looking more at what was happening in that elimination feed. I saw Shark, I saw Teeny, and I saw Huddy and Fishy with the credits for it. We'll have to wait and see what's actually been developing over at Wonky Land, because right now Painted Palms heating up. Wolvex and Lunex, they're gonna try to go up now against Juan Country, but the opportunity has kind of just fizzled out here. Dendapuzo spotted, and that is more than enough reason for Ju and Country to kind of defend their position. Ju's still looking to give chase though against Dendapuzo. Seems like they're really after him more than just the surge. They want the eliminations too.
That they do. Will they full commit to it or not though? Only 9 builds. Not enough to confidently push someone. Unless they're going to opt to kind of play back a little bit more. And I'm just as curious as you are of what was going on in Wonky, so hopefully we can get a peek of that later. But Andy Puzo.
Fortunately for us,
Here.
yeah, we don't have to wait much longer. We got a chance to view it in 4K, and Huddy, just the shots from overhead. Huddy, Fishy, who are you feeling like? Because Shark Teeny, that is not an easy duo to overcome. And I'm sorry to report to all of the EU com, but unsuccessful hate watch here in Game 5, that's for sure.
Unsuccessful it is. taking a quick peek of the last match performance for Huddy Fishy. After they successfully got off spawn, they got 11 with 6 eliminations. But I guess it was enough of a confidence booster for them to win the off spawn now, so they get another chance at the end game. But that's pushing Sharkantini lower and lower. They were already in 9th going into this match. Now they placed 45th. They're gonna get pushed out of the top 10 most likely here.
Luckily, though, they'll still have 7 other games, technically speaking. 1 more left on the day. Game day number 1 here. Ghosty. It's just a focal point on getting the shields back up to a healthy position. Size and Scary, though, have really done a great job so far today. Sitting in that 6th place position on the leaderboard. Still well within striking range of even trying to break into the top 5. I mean, when you think Vico and Malabuka, who are only just ahead at 158 points, but Thomas and Focus, more specifically, 175 points. 3rd place position right now. And they need a big game here in lobby number 5 for one reason and one reason alone, Takada. It's because they don't want to let Sky and Scroll get out of leaderboard distance. The realistic amount of points that you can actually bring back and close those gaps. They are, you know, it's not too far gone just yet, but it's starting to get there, and that's where things can be a little bit scary, because even with a 2-day format, you still don't want to leave it in your opponent's hands exclusively.
I don't know, yeah. If I'm Thomas HD, the way it's looking right now, it's just deja vu all over again. I mean, top 3, top 2, very doable. But that 1st place is getting further and further away. Deemish Storm, though, looking for a sneaky play. All it takes is a quick 3-2-1 or double pump shot. Will Fishy and Huddy take the wrong path out of Wonky?
Will Deemish Darm actually be able to net something from this, too? They're also another one of our teams that's kind of hurting. A team that I don't think many people would have anticipated to be this far down on the leaderboard. It's Ghosty. Might actually have a chunk out of Darkness's HP giving chase, and that's going to be the final elimination. Darkos has gone down, but big time sink right now. And unlike Huddy and Fishy, Darm Deemish, they don't have control of the Vendame, but they might be able to get some good shots in when they go for that wheel rotation.
Yeah, that's really what they're waiting on here. Only time will tell. Vico Malabuka, 158 points. They have pushed themselves up the leaderboard. We talked about it in the last match. They were in 10. A lot of those top teams going down allowed them to go to top 5 now. It's surprisingly close between 10th to 5th. There's only a 6-point difference. 6 points from 10th to 5th. But it is starting to get a bit top heavy with Sky and Scroll at 281.
And for teams like Size and Scary, you never know. It's still, I think, very difficult to imagine they're gonna be able to overtake it, but I'll hold that thought because Deemish Darm, they're waiting it out so patiently. Decided to take a stab at it finally, but Huddy Fishy just will not go down. After everything they had to overcome just dealing with Sharkantini in the first place, the last thing they want to see is themselves getting wiped out by a separate duo entirely here. And despite how strong of fighters Darm and Deemish can be, they're still largely the ones left kind of scrambling around on the top side of the build right now. Huddy and Fishy just have so much more material to work with, so much more heals. This is just not gonna end well for Darm and Deemish if they keep trying to force it. And even still, just kind of poking the bear right now, it feels like. Sent packing, licking their wounds, but Huddy and Fishy, great job holding strong here at Wonky.
Yeah, you can see how quick they were to just secure control of the vending machines. Despite having height originally, they instantly dropped down, took control, and that was kind of the sign for Darm and Deemish to disengage. Just wasn't worth it at that point. Really, Gonzo, quite strong, surprisingly. I mean, originally, it didn't look like they were going to have the best of early games, but then with all the chaos unfolding in the center of the map, they have been able to push themselves up the leaderboard.
But the big thing to remember is that this is such a new pairing. Truly had originally been with Zynox, and they've been having a lot of success with qualing towards Div Cup finals, qualing the Eval finals, and yet it just didn't work out. When the time came for heats, they fell short, team split up, decided, let's see who else to pair with in the Last Chance lobby, and truly, Gonzo, they've been a particularly exciting duo to follow because they look great in the Last Chance qualifier opens, and when they actually got into the Last Chance lobby finals, obviously they did their thing, but it's the fact that they're contesting Swizzy and Pixie of all people and holding their own. Could have been worse though. Poor Darman Demish.
Yeah.
Demish will be able to tie the final knot there, close that one out. But going back to the whole Gonzo thing, it's just incredible scenes that such a new hunger has really started to surface in EU, and truly Gonzo, definitely one of those teams that embodies it.
Yeah, just 4 points away from top 5 too. Like you said, from last chance qualifier, last minute formation to almost being top 5 in the major finals as we're getting closer and closer to the finish line of day one. Let's take a look at Biko and Malabuka as Darman and Demish are just in non-stop action.
Really kind of just been very hard pressed to actually find a starting point in a lot of these lobbies, opting for kind of the switcheroo with their drops a lot of times here. Biko and Malabuka, though, they'll have none of it. These are our vending machines. We don't want you guys making any use of them. But both of these duos do have a decent amount of surge above damage thresholds. Whoever leaves first, though, I don't think they want to forfeit any kind of freebie tags to the other. And it's just this awkward little stalemate that's kind of taking place here. But darn Demish, they are really throwing a lot of these teams for a loop here along the way. And I think that they're also kind of victimizing themselves, a little bit of self-sabotage potentially, because you never know who you're going to run into next, but the way that they've just been rolling through the lobby.
Yeah, I would have expected a bit more for Darm and Demish, so I'm really hoping they can figure it out. I mean, it's tough being contested, but they have time to kind of reflect on it.
To be fair, though, when you think about Darm Demish in 2-day formats, day one, you know, obviously always leaves a little bit more to be desired. Day two, though, that might be a whole different story, but only time will tell what actually happens there. As Peshka, old World of Trouble here, Reason, Noah Riley playing what feels like a fire's been lit underneath them, and it's because of the fact that they've got the surge ticks working against them. They need this elimination onto gold. They want to bring things back into their favor, and now getting to close out that fight will put them in an okay spot, but still a long ways to go.
Sky Scroll, average placement of 4.75 after our 4 matches, matching their average placement in the Div Cups. Leading the pack. It would be devastating for them to go down here, but they know when to not take risks.
It's less about them and more about whether or not Shmali and Sliz actually need the damage, and they don't. So this is not a fight that they have to force, but so Studio's vending machines would be nice to get some heals along the way. Shmali and Sliz, though, that was the wrong time to hit go. Sky and Scroll, just absolute menaces with the tracking accuracy, only boosting their net surge even further, and they also left Shmali in such a bad spot. Franek and Dina is going to be able to cut them off, and Sliz now left as a solo.
What is this? What is Sky and Scroll missing? They have aim, they have chemistry, they can solo clutch, they have consistency. Somebody needs to stop them. Yanis cheated. Levin was talking about it. Yanis had a bit of a mistake in the last match, but they're performing so well. 4th place on the leaderboard, hoping to represent Germany and Dusseldorf. So far looking good.
They've definitely been making the most of their day one appearances. Cammy and Hadi, though, not an impossible spot to work your way out of, but things are getting a little bit dicey here. Sitting at only 102 above. You know just how rapidly those net surge metrics can actually jump, both in your favor and against. And so for a team like Demish and Darm, unfortunately on the other end of things, but able to connect with some shots. Still, this constant up, down. And once those surge ticks actually start raining through, they're unlucky. Another duo might even hear when their shields get cracked if they're close enough. Doesn't seem like Skyjump and Mumsy actually have that idea just yet, though. Truly Gonzo, separate fight. They're also kind of struggling here with their surge. They didn't get that immediate fight they were hoping for against Squizzy and Pixie. And so now they're left to try and collect it elsewhere. But yeah, if Truly can keep putting together shots like that, they won't have too many issues with getting the surge back on track.
Bet they won't. 107 above for Darm and Demish as well. Gonzo makes his way into the zone. Darm with a quick knock, though. This is huge for the damage that they were looking for. Now even a little refresh. Good news is they don't want to overextend. They've already got a good amount of builds. Now, Matt's refreshed, 635 above. Both of these teams were looking quite desperate a second ago, and now, despite Gonzo losing his duo partner, the damage is there.
Feast or famine outcomes right now between both of these POVs. Is Gonzo, he lost Truly. Even though they found one big shot, it just wasn't enough for them to stay healthy as a duo together. So isolated, 342 above, some material count to work with, but no white heals. He will have to depend exclusively on finding an elimination to get himself back up in the running. Volko Cringe, a healthy duo just on the other side of this wall. He's not going to be able to break through just yet, though. Going to keep having to take his time. The pickaxe alerting the rest of the lobby exactly where he's at. He'll be cleared out. An early departure. Fortunately, they've done enough in the matches leading up to it, so their spot on the leaderboard should still be decent. Just obviously you want every single lobby to be a strong finish with the last two on the day. Hadi, Cammy. Scenes looking grim for some other players trying to make their way into zone here at Takata, but Flixie and Chap aren't one of them. They are definitely feasting right now. 2 pizzas at Flixie's feet. More than enough time to decide where he wants to go next.
I'm liking the look of this. As we'll see once we get closer and closer to these moving zones. Thomas H. Steve focus. The consistency has not been there. They've had big matches. The average placement is 16.5. The good news is the damage is coming through. It looks like they're going to be making it out of this one, but for Cheat and then Yanis, they are now in danger.
Teams inside of our top 5, they're competing not just with the rest of the lobby, but they're also competing to try and stay within striking range of Sky and Scroll in that first place position. Until their names are actually taken out of this lobby, all of these players very likely keeping tabs of that elimination feed to gauge just how much is really left to go. Chap, Flixie, taking a little bit too long there against Vico and Malabuka, but returning the favor, no problem whatsoever. And Vico just overextends his welcome after those initial early beams. I think he was feeling very confident in himself, but Flixie immediately punishing him for it. The former duo at that. It's a tough break right now. We know Malabuka will be a solo here. Front side sending it. Flixie, Chap, very able to hold a spot now in the mid ground, but it's whether or not they're going to be able to actually stay on track. Working ahead. Still continuing to stay one step ahead of the rest of the lobby here. Malabuka, those 6 slices of pizza, but a whole lot of players surrounding him.
More than enough materials, though. Malabuka should be able to get a good clutch here. Yanis as well. On the contrary, only wood, 16 builds, 1 mini, the only heals he has. A few overdrives, but it's only going to take you so far. And he's going to have to play this one a lot slower. Malabuka looking for some tags, but he doesn't want to go down before using his materials. Big shot connecting, though. Very good in terms of damage.
That's what Yanis is after right now. Frontside low, looking back, hoping that he can also find an elimination definitely needs the siphon. He needs the materials. A player in his box, but he can't cut him off fast enough. Opportunity just sliding by here. Pablo Chino, second place team currently on the leaderboard, and they know exactly what's at stake here. They've got to keep things rolling. Thomas, Focus, very similar position here, but Malabuka still making it work. Players are doubling into his box. It's gonna be Cammy. A nice little refresh, but Malabuka's getting held. The lobby is stopping him from his successes of moving forward. Chopped down. There's just nowhere left for Malabuka to go. Earlier departure than what they've been hoping for, but Chino and Pablo, they are ready to try and bring themselves back into contention. They want to overthrow first place. If they've got anything to say about it right now, Takata. They're already looking back, seeing if there's teams they could spray, seeing if there's teams they could just catch off guard with a nice little pre-edit finish.
Problem for Pablo Chino is Sky and Scroller looking incredibly healthy down in the dirt, and Pablo's already been knocked, fully eliminated as well. Chino is left as a solo, but he does have 5 eliminations. He is on fire as he has to find his way back to zone. In the meantime, though, Sky Scroll, this is looking like it's gonna be a big match for them, but a huge shot connected from Chino.
The main thing right now for Chino is just how many elimination points can you get? 2 already for Scroll. We have seen him been on a rampage all throughout the games here today, and it looks like the eliminations was just the starting point for these two. They're just racking them up as we go. Darm eliminated, 3 now for Scroll. He just can't miss. Every single shot he sends out connects with a target. Thomas trying to see if he can make the play for the revive, but ultimate low just still so heavily in control by Sky and Scroll. They are the cutoff point. They are restricting anybody else from moving through this lower layer. And again, just another elimination and another one. They just can't be stopped.
The moment a player steps foot on the low ground, they are ready to pounce, and Sky and Scroll eliminates them instantly. They are not finished. This Thomas continuing to try and clutch it out as a solo. Glove Sheep Racks have been holding on to high. Thomas goes down. Sky Scroll still incredibly healthy. Chino as well. He's out of mats, it seems. He's trying to clutch it as a solo, but he's gonna have to take a 1v2, either height or low.
It's a race to the finish right now for Prax and Glubshy. It's going to be Sky and Scroll that they're forced to contend with, but we saw how healthy Sky and Scroll truly are in these low layers. They were just taking full advantage of any sort of weakened players. These elevation shifts, they were just waiting for players to fall into their clutches. Saya's now trying to see if he can escape, going to send it one more time overhead, but Sky, Scroll just looking to play janitorial in the low ground. 5 eliminations still. The lobby kind of clearing itself out for these final moments. Scroll gets another piece, and now the final opponent, Sayaz. But it's Sky, it's Scroll. They might cause for a little bit of a hiccup here, but Scroll, he's still so healthy, he can easily back up his teammate. Sayaz, though, refusing to punch. Sayaz actually turning this around, but he can't get the siphon in time. Sky and Scroll will manage to hold on for another victory royale here, Takata, but Sayaz really made them work for it.
It got a little close. It got a little close there. Sayaz with a great shot, but Sky and Scroll, they cannot be stopped. Frank, 11 Mini, what is the rest of the lobby gonna do?
Not go to the low ground. Everyone's just going to be like, let's stay on the mid layers, because as soon as we drop down, Sky and Scroll are just going to take us out of this lobby, Mini.
Wow, I mean, what a performance from Sky and Scroll. Stayed so patient. A very, very similar performance to what we saw in that last game. They didn't try to go for height. They didn't try to make any crazy plays. They just let the entire lobby come to them. And it wasn't really like a crazy height play from anyone in that lobby. It felt like a different sort of landscape up on high. But a little bit shaky there at the end. Not quite sure what happened, but yeah, they managed to close out the win in the end.
I'll be honest, I didn't know Sayaz could do all that. You know, I know we're here to talk about Sky and Scroll. They won the game, but I didn't know Sayaz could do all that, so I'm sure we'll get to that. But look, Sky and Scroll, the reality is, and I've said it in one of the earlier games, I'm going to say it again. You're not going to be more consistent than these guys. So you're going to have to outshoot them. That's what it's going to come down to for any of the other teams in contention. If you're Chino, Pablo, if you're Focus, Thomas, whoever it is, you're going to have to try and figure out how can we outfrag these guys, because they will just make it to every single end game. And unless anybody wants to turn into, you know, Peter Bot from the end of last year and start landing on these guys, it's, you know, I don't see what changes for them, right? it looks like they're playing a scrim at times, maybe,
Yeah.
right? Like, it just looks so simple. It looks so easy. They get in the same situations, the same positions, and they deliver the same every single time. It is so hard to play against. It must be so demoralizing to play against when you're one of the top teams and you think you've had a good game, and then you look at the leaderboard, refresh it afterwards, and you're like, Sky and Scroll, they're deep into the end game again. Like, what do we do? So unbelievably good.
I guess you set your sights on Dusseldorf. With Sky and Scroll, though, how far did they go in Dusseldorf? Do you think that we're potentially looking at Europe taking another land? 11?
Well, look, it might be Europe versus Europe, right? Because that's where Venno and Curve land. So we'll see how much they have to say about that.
Oh, I'm very excited for that North American lobby later tonight. But right now, we've got to take a break because we've got one more game here in Europe.
No love songs, just a war cry by. This is my world, watch me arrive. Watch me arrive. Watch me arrive. Watch me arrive.
Two teammates have his back. There's Nash. Gets the drop on the Marion. Stays alive. They're targeting up Vanya. 3v1.
Welcome back to day one of the FNCS Europe Major 1 finals. We just have one game left for the show today, and there's a lot to play for everyone in the lobby. The thing is, can people who are on page number 5, 40 to 50, can they make it up? Because there's some big names there who are sorely lacking in points right now. But let's talk about the winning conditions for all of these teams here, because if you missed the pre-show, Kinch, our numbers guy, ran the stats through his system, and 11, there's a lot that some of these duos really need to do, and one duo we have to talk about is Shark and Teeny, because sometimes they're not making it to the end game. They're barely making it off spawn.
Yeah, we knew this was going to be a concern for them. I think the key factor was always going to be when they make it out of these, off-spawn engagements, can they make it count? I don't think the biggest concern for people was going to be making it out of the off-spawn engagements, though. Twek and Mijo, this one here from Twek was just disgusting. Now, I don't know what's going on there, but Twek, I was not expecting to see him hit shots like that. they've been having a tougher time off spawn mini than I think people maybe would have accounted for. And even when they've made it off spawn, the games just haven't looked like the Sharkantini we've seen all year long.
Yeah, they haven't. They started off really well, and I was kind of thinking, I said at the beginning of the show, I was like, I don't see these guys getting a top 5. 50% of your tweet audience believe that they would. And they got a 4th, and I was like, oh, hang on a sec, maybe they're actually the real deal here. They can actually do all right. And then things started to sort of play out, as they often do in these sort of grand finals and major finals lobbies. Teams switch up, they try and rotate on in. They find it a little bit more difficult to now leave that drop spot, even if they win that off spawn or end up splitting it. So, yeah, a few difficulties for these teams. Maybe now their sights are now set on that top 20 rather than that top 5, because, of course, they still want to qualify to the LAN as well. But it's been rocky for them.
I think the biggest surprise as to why for this team is just the fact that most people consider these guys a fighting duo, right? Like, so if you're going to tell me, look, they're going to be put in situations where they're going to have to fight a lot, you'd roll the dice and expect to see it land in their favor more times than not. And I think that's why this is a big surprise.
Let's take a look at the leaderboard. 5 games into the finals. We have got domination from Sky and Scroll. They look like they're about 90 points clear at the moment. That's not really a surprise, probably to any single person in the Fortnite community watching this. And Pablo and Chino also putting up a performance we knew they could pull off. We just were surprised maybe to see it so early in the season, given some inconsistency recently. And then Sayaz and Scary. Levin, you said these guys, they've been around for a while, but at the same time, they haven't exactly troubled top 10s of major finals before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to watch this highlight package. Because how on earth did Sayaz end this game with 8 LFs? Like, this is just not what I was expecting, especially from this position here. Like, look at what he's not working with anything. And he's just crawling around the endgame mini and just hitting banks. Like, you just love to see it.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, that mythic Chaos Reloader definitely had a part to play right there. That actually has 2 shots in it, so you don't need to wait for it to reload. And when you can hit shots like that, you can really clutch up. And again, it's one of those sort of dark horse teams that maybe a lot of teams wouldn't, or a lot of people wouldn't have expected to do so well. Look at this. Unreal stuff from him. And especially since they were shaping up to be contested off spawn, I think a lot of people wrote this team off. Look at that. Goes down to Storm in the end, but
what a time. I just want to say, what a time to be having the performance of your life. Like, yes. This is like the best he's ever played in his entire life, and it's just today. Great.
I know we say pressing W for obvious reasons, but in Spain, would they say going V because of Vamos?
I mean, we do have a Spanish
people.
person
Yeah,
on the
you're
broadcast.
asking.
I don't know why he'd be asking us when there is a Spanish fella casting the game.
Well, hopefully we'll get an answer from Takata on that one very soon. I wonder where Thomas Focus are. They're in 4th. They've only gone down 1 spot. I feel like it's been a little bit quiet for them because we're not seeing them very frequently in these in-game situations. You know, it's not coming down to a 2v2 for them, for example, in the in-game, even though they are making it to the end-games, I should say, Mini-Man.
Yeah, they are. And we've had to see a couple of this Thomas HD solo clutches today, which is nice to see, of course, for an EU veteran watcher out there. Of course, it's nice to see him still performing. But yeah, I think it's been a bit of a sort of hot and cold day for them. They've had decent enough games. Of course, the off-spawn situation was never going to be their problem. But when it comes to the end games, they're either getting that 1st place, 5th place, or they're going down around 20th level. So they need to have more of those top 5s.
This is an interesting situation now, guys, because we have 7 games left of the finals. We've already mentioned that there are some big names who are on the last page of the leaderboard, the likes of iDrop and Marius, the likes of Swizzy and Pixie. I've already mentioned it. We don't have a 1.5x multiplayer coming up tomorrow. If you do not start picking up your performance, you are not going to find yourselves playing in Dusseldorf. There are other big names in trouble. Demas and Dan, we're looking at you. Reason and Noah, they're starting to pick up their ideas. They're starting to pick up their games. Let's see what our duos can do in our final game of the day.
Thank you, Frankie. Look, the cutoff is at 114 points. You said it yourself. Noah Reason are the team right outside of it. Demas, Darn, but no, I gotta get my Spanish bias in here a little bit. Saya Scary top 3. It's what you love to see, but this is just the last match of day 1. There's 6 more matches to be played out tomorrow, and Taco, I think a lot is gonna change between today and tomorrow.
And I think that's where we kind of have to fixate a little bit more on Sky and Scroll specifically, because it's one thing to be leading the lobby at the end of a 2-day format, but it's also going into that secondary day with the mentality of not trying to autopilot it. So let's see how they finish things out, because Game 6 is ready to go.
It's harder to change things up on the day, so I would be very surprised if we see any major changes, but maybe a sneak peek of what's coming tomorrow. Bus path starting right at Wonky Land. We've had a curious time here. I mean, Fishy Huddy, they've been looking quite strong in the recent 2 matches. Shark, Genie hasn't been going their way. And once again, Sharks dropped to 5 HP to kick this off, but lucky for him, he did not get knocked.
Yeah, but unlucky for them. Huddy Fishy, they're in full control of the arcade game right now at Wonky Land, and that's what you really want. You are going to be dropping at this POI, but job's not done. Fishy, Huddy, trying to see if they can just get the better end of this exchange, and sure enough, Shark floating through the air as Teeny, all by his lonesome, will be spotted out, and the worst has just happened right now for Shark and Teeny here at the Kata, because one more shot is all it takes. Teeny won't be able to 180 this in his favor, but it's the damage that's been done. A little bit of mental battles start to take place here, I think, heading in that secondary day, because so many people were riding so high, and admittedly, I was one of them. I was anticipating that Shark Teeny, they're just going to control it, but there are so many other places on the map still left to fight things out for. Skyjump, Momsy looking to try and defend their position. Skyjump gets a little bit of an assist here from other members in the lobby, but very short-lived, because Pixazi and Saren, they're just looking to play cleanup crew right now. Skyjump has hardly anything left to work with. That'll be all Pixazi to try and finish up here. And Skyjump will be eliminated. Some additional elimination points being added for Pixazi and Saren.
Chino Pablo looking to have cleaned up an early game. Just one elim though. Here's to see how that ended, and I'm still just thinking back to Wonky Land. Quite devastating. And let's see what Chino actually did though.
Oop.
There was an elimination onto Gold.
Not this time. Gold and Peshka will not have the opportunity there to try and challenge the machines. But scary inside is if they can have another endgame finish like that last lobby Takata, they are very much going to be setting themselves up nicely for a day 2 run, because I put them into the 3rd place position. Granted, anything and everything has happened before in these finals, and this last lobby is just very on point right now, I think, for a game 6, day 1 kind of occurrence here at Takata. Players are dropping like flies. People are getting very aggressive very early on. Some teams maybe choosing to go for that Hail Mary effort of, well, we need to finish on a big game. That way we make sure that we have some points to work with heading into day 2. But it really is all about the top 20 for teams that are just outside of it heading into this final lobby of the day.
Yeah, the good news is they have a whole other day. I mean, I'm looking back to it. Huddy Fishy, despite winning off spawn, they've gotten 30th, 11th. Hasn't quite gone their way. Thomas Focus, though, they had the strong win. They had a strong 5th place in the last match, but outside of that, 25th, 21st, the 19th, it's either big games or kind of mid games. But I mean, they're in 4th, so I'm only saying it because, you know, this is a duo that had the expectations of not only getting 2nd, but potentially even winning. The way it's going right now at Sky and Scroll, though, 90 points above 2nd place, which is Chino and Pablo. A lot is going to have to change.
But kind of just picking back up on that earlier conversation I noted on Sky Scroll, you know, they're the ones in the driver's seat. But
Yeah.
when you are chasing your first finals title of a major, I think for Sky and Scroll specifically, it becomes very difficult, I think, to not just... It's hard not to get nervous, I think, in day 2. And I think that the way that they are playing here today, though, makes me feel very confident in these two, because they're not playing like anything is pressuring them in the slightest. They are just doing whatever they want to. They are forcing the lobby to be reactive to them. It has just been the Sky and Scroll show for the bulk of today's lobbies, and they just seem to have it figured out. Right place, right time, every single time.
I mean, this whole chapter, it's been that way. It's not like this is like a recent thing. They've been so consistent. I would be very surprised if we see the nerfs get to them on day 2. I mean, it's what these other duos in the top end are hoping for, but yeah, I don't know how I feel about the odds of that happening. They're just looking way too strong. Levin was saying it just looks like scrims they're playing. They're making it look so easy. Focus Thomas. I want to see another big game from them.
Tom's did a great job in the last lobby, even clutching up from a solo position to give them the opportunity here in Game 6 to try and close things out strong here, right? But there are just so many other unknown factors, I think, that are going to possibly kind of throw things for a loop here. Yepko Panzer, potentially one of them. Painted Palms, legendary POI for this final lobby, but it's more so the fact that they're sitting at 154 points, so it hasn't been, you know, the world's best day by any means, but it still at least left them in a position where they can be inside that top 20 for the qualifying range of the Summit Land, and that's really what they're trying to hold on to. They want to stay inside, especially hovering around that top 10 area. Ooh.
Yeah, cheating though. Gotta be purple. He's been put into panic by For9 Moneymaker. They pick up the Elim. Yanis, not quite sure where he might be. We'll take a look at what actually went down here, though. Oh. Oh, no.
Hey, everybody's got to try and do something different. And what better time to experiment than in the final lobby of game day number 1 with the 2-day format to work with. Twy, Cringe, they'd had so much early success in that very first game, and then after that, it's just been a little bit of a roller coaster ride with them. Up, down, all around, but XZ and Prisbuka, they need this. They need to win this fight here. Twy in the 1v1. XZ trying to gauge whether or not it's worth it to just go for the finish. On the one hand, it would put them in a, you know, reboot play opportunity. On the other, end of the road, and then you are left on the last couple of pages of the leaderboard. Twy doesn't want to risk their current position. He'll opt to disengage first. Circling back around, though, to focus in Thomas. They've got company, Darm and Beamish one more time, but they've also got a lot of time to work with, but they definitely want to avoid surge woes.
Playing the slow game. What's good for these duos that are on the lower end of the leaderboard, I mean, the cutoff, I say only, at 114 points. I believe in the last match, Sky and Scroll almost got 100 points in a single match. So if you do just get one very solid game, doesn't even have to be a win, it's almost enough to push you into that top 20 and be in qualifying range for Dusseldorf. So a lot of these teams still have a very good chance at qualifying, so they'll just have to mix it up for day 2 or end day 1 here with a strong game.
But look at that flashing of the leaderboard right now. You've got teams inside of the top 10, 7th and 9th that have already been eliminated. So that's opportunity now for teams that are just underneath those ranks to try and build their way up. Try and overtake a little bit of leapfrog action. Close things out here. Game day number 1, Surefour and Repairs, 156 points. Very realistic opportunities to be one of those teams that could potentially squeeze their way up another placement or 2 on the leaderboard overall, but Keto and Hydro holding steady. Venus and Fnatic also in their surge base, gonna complicate things further.
The one match, Chat Flixie got the perfect zone pull. They won it. Will we get a repeat here? So far it is a bit more north, but they're hoping for the best.
It's like groupings right now, though, on the leaderboard. Chat Flixie in the 180s, Vico Malabuka, Skyjump Momsy. Teams that are also in that 180 range. Cheatin' Giannis, just above that, 190. And for Chat Flixie, I'll hold that thought, though. Cringe and Twy This LeBron kind of mix up Darm and Deemish. They've really been playing catastrophe for so many other duos in this lobby all throughout the course of today's games.
Nice shot connecting from Twy as well. Darm Deemish, though. We don't want a catastrophic finish to day one from them. This is a big duo. Had an amazing year in 2025. We don't want to kick off 2026 in a low point.
Just taking what feels like every single one of the med kits right now from the vending machines. Twy at least has one to work with, but the way that Darm and Deemish are kind of settling in here, looks like they don't mind taking a stretched out rotate. They've already done the damage to Twy as is, and they can likely still choose to hold him at bay. Even if he goes for the reboot this late on, Darm and Deemish could just look to choke point them when they make their next rotation. They're likely going to have to run into them one more time.
Wow, it's crazy actually how many duos are still in Storm. I mean, we had kind of the main Storm meta last season, but has been less prominent this season. However, we're seeing a lot of play here in the major finals. Twy now gonna go for the reboot.
There's just so much gold available on the map that it makes it a lot more feasible for teams to kind of make delayed rotations, sit inside the Storm a little bit longer, but then you are exposing yourself to the risk of Storm sickness, and while we haven't seen it directly for anybody here today, it could still be an issue. You can see having a whole lot of trouble right now with Focus and Thomas, and that's going to be another pairing of eliminations here for Focus and Thomas to start things off for Game 6.
I'm just looking at that leaderboard. Someone's got to do something about Sky and Scroll. Thomas HD, Focus once again joining the action against Deemish and Darm. They can't get enough, but Focus is actually going to be the one that gets knocked down. It's now a 2v1. This is devastating for Thomas HD and Focus.
They knew. They knew how hurt Thomas was. There was never a world of survival there, but that is so disastrous right now for Thomas and Focus. They were just not anticipating a team to be this far out in the Storm, hanging around the gas station, and just punishing them so steeply. Even just a little quick review of eliminations that just went down, but Darm, Deemish, they are really causing so many problems in this last lobby of the day. You know, never let them know your next move mentality through and through.
Panzer Yapko, 175 above. They do have a nice position here in zone, but without the elevation, I'm not sure how many opportunities they'll get. 4 more tags, but doesn't seem like it's too big of a problem from the here.
Kiri, Moneymaker, who's gonna come out on top, both throwing slugs at each other, and Kiri, Moneymaker won't be able to withstand the additional tick damage from the Storm, just working against him, but Cheat and Giannis, they might even be able to continue that aggression against Kiri. Have to wait and see. Scroll though, this is we've seen. You could tell me this was a replay, and I would believe you, Takada. Okay, Sky, Scroll, pressuring teams, trying to make their way into edge of zone, and they're just beaming them the whole way through. There is just no one that seems to escape their sights.
They don't miss. They're doing everything right. Even when they're put into a bit of panic and they kind of get on the borderline of surge, they still make something happen. Giannis forced the pop a med kit, 294 above. But without his teammate cheating and all these players rotating through, all these duos, gonna have to make a big play here. But unfortunately, that will be his demise.
We saw the reason why he paused. He knew Hardcore and Kid were right there, but 5-tick Storm at your back, you don't have any other options to run into your own demise. Chat Flixie. Rufko, here in Game 6.
This is a duo, too, that had very high expectations going into 2026. I mean, coming from especially Flixie's performance in 2025, winning Major 1, second Major 3, sixth Major 2, even 14th at Globals. But they just haven't been quite living up to those expectations. The thing is, it is a duo that's capable of performing in these lobbies, so I'm hoping for day 2 we can see more of them. But for Sky and Scroll, they've been living up to those expectations now going into this major final. Chap doing what he can to clutch it as a solo, but when you're 300 below, you only have so many options.
Quite a ways away from Cirque being turned off too, so Chap will just have to get it done the old-fashioned way. Looking back, trying to see if he can set up, make a play. Sky Scroll, though, they really have just been delivering on all fronts. Their placements throughout the day, paired alongside consistent eliminations. And they're looking to just add another lobby to their count, but 16 below now. It'd be nice if they could find somewhere to deal damage. The opportunity might present itself here soon enough. A lot of teams kind of stuck in this South Zone congestion. And they've also got ample amount of heals, and they are going to be shot right back up. 146 above now. No longer feeling the same kind of pressure, but Chap is just in a world of hurt right now. He's hoping to deliver some kind of pain to somebody else instead, but won't get the chance. Eaten alive by the lobby.
Homework time on to day 2. Syaz and Scary, 629 above the threshold. The confidence is there, and our #1 duo has the pressure on now. 343 below as he's lost Scroll. Sky is fully capable of solo clutching, but with the amount of damage he needs, this one is going to be extra difficult.
Hold on now. Sky and Scroll, if they're both eliminated this early, that's not a lot of placement points, that's for sure, Takada. So might make Thomas and Focus feel a bit better, and sure enough, they're going to meet their end. Arco and Kire being able to just cycle in onto where Sky is trying to escape from. But Pablo, Chino, our second place team, this is going to be their best opportunity to play catch up if I've ever seen it.
It's now or never. Chino and Pablo, if they can finish this last match of the day with a big game, it could mean everything for the leaderboard, but they have to be careful as Chino gets cracked. The good news is they have more than enough shield to recuperate it. They have the damage, they have the match shields. All we need is a big match.
And they're just waiting, kind of scoping out who's in front of them, who's starting for Malibuca, Vico. Under a little bit of pressure here in this final game. They want to have a big showing. They want to indicate that they are more than capable of being one of those top 5 teams. But Cammy, Hottie, right now, it's coming a little bit to the pressures of the lobby. Almost all of their heals have been expended. A couple of overdrive grenades, but trying to control front side, that's what Pablo and Chino are after. Malibuca and Vico still managing to stay just about a layer or 2 above ultimate low. And it's all about trying to see if they can get a good chop in on some of these other teams. Darm, Deemish, really trying to close things out here strong as Syaz and Sketty. Ultimate low, sure, but they got the front side to work with.
Gotta be careful though, running low on mats, just 8 builds to work with for Syaz here. Good news is they do have the Flowbraid mist to recuperate what Scary has lost, but Darm, look at the amount of eliminations this duo has. They had a rough start here in day 1, but hopefully we can close it out. 4 on Darm, 6 on Deemish. The issue is just 1 build left, and it's gonna have to ride the back of the zone.
But he finds Delio. The moment that he dropped, was trying to follow his duo. Doesn't get a chance, though, to finish things out entirely, but did play spoiler. That's a big factor. Think about Fishy and Huddy, currently the kings of height right now in this lobby. iDrop gonna get tagged up. He's on secondary height currently with Medius. But it does look a little bit fickle here at Malibuca, though. Big conversion, elimination. That's what he really needed, a little bit more siphon materials to try and work with. Vico and Malabuka could definitely go out with a bang in this lobby, depending on how they choose to play things out as they make their way towards frontside, getting some good tags, some good connections, but they need to get the finishes too. Vico trying to see if he can force somebody to cross his vision. He's clearly hunting for yet another elimination there. Out of materials entirely. Panzer Yapko sending it on front side low. Pablo Chino just behind them, but Fishy and Huddy have really made the most of this final lobby so far. Can they keep it going though? Malabuka scrambling around the low ground. Needs to try and find another shot. Needs any kind of an extension, but he has no builds. He'll be taken out. Pablo and Chino. What looked so promising though has just been ripped out from underneath them. Yapko and Panzer now staring down the other teams on the low ground, and it's all Huddy and Fishy from overhead. Minori gonna try and follow suit, but Panzer, he at least managed to make it up. Not a whole lot of HP to work with here, though. And so Panzer, he's gonna lose Yapko. Huddy, Fishy, just chopping him down. One more build remains. That could be the separating factor here, but they got what they were after. They take out Shark and Teeny and Takata. Everything that comes after the fact is just the spoils of their labor.
31st place going into this match. Huddy and Fishy have been able to end on a win, pushing themselves in qualifying range for Dusseldorf. That's it for Taco and I in the casting booth. We'll back tomorrow, but let's go to the desk to break down how day one concluded.
Thank you so much to Taco and to Carter. What an ending for Hutty and Fishy X. We've been talking about them being the opponents off spawn at Wonky Land versus Shark and Teeny, but now they've gone further than that duo by winning a victory royale. The question is, will it make much of an impact on their chances to make it to Dusseldorf? That's something we'll have to wait to see, Levin.
Well, just right off the bat, after that win, yeah, I guess that puts them in a top 20 position. It's about continuing that tomorrow, but that's a great way to end the day, right? The question mark has been, how good is Shark and Teeny going to do contested at Wonky? Maybe the question this whole time should have been, how good is Hutty and Fishy going to do at Wonky? Because, again, who owns that POI right now? It's a question. We didn't think it was going to be a question, Mini, but it is a question right now.
Yeah, especially when it comes down to the heats. I remember when, of course, Hutty and Fishy won that game off spawn against Shark and Teeny. You think, right, that's their one chance to get to the major finals. They win that game to make it here. And maybe myself included, maybe a lot of people would have said, that's a bit of a fluke. You know, they managed to get the win. They managed to win off spawn. We don't expect much of them when it comes to the major finals. But this is a real statement here, coming in this last game, winning it as well. I think it's going to put them quite close to Shark and Teeny as well, I imagine, because, of course, they're going to be sort of launched up the leaderboard. And just the way they went about the game, really nicely done. And another height win that we've seen today, but a really solid one at that. They held it for a lot longer than a lot of teams seem to be able to hold it as well, Levin. So really nicely done from these guys, and maybe a sign of things to come tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, if you are fighting these guys off spawn, it must be so frustrating, right? Because they are so relentless. They just don't stop. They're going to have an off game here and there where, you know, they might pop up and win. And all of a sudden right now, you're looking at the standings and you're going, oh, like, how can we get rid of these guys? Like, how do we deal with them? They just don't go away. And that's what you want to see from a team representing EU at not Globals, not yet at least, at the Summit Land. And so if they keep having these good games, man, I'll be excited to watch them there.
I mean, it is an international land, to be fair to you, Levin. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. Here's where things stand after 6 games, 6 more games to go. Sky and Scroll going down in the 7th zone does mean that their lead isn't as dominant before, because Chino and Pablo, yes, they didn't make it to the very end game, but still they managed to make it further, and they kind of look a little bit threatening right now, Mini Miner.
Yeah, they do. This is a different storyline now going into day 2 than what we probably would have expected to be setting up after that last game. I think we all expect to be setting up, yep, Sky and Scroll, can they continue it? They're so far ahead, but now look who's made a late surge and a little bit of a late slip from a team that looked like they were so solid throughout the entire day. They looked like they were unslippable, but they have done it. And for Chino and Pablo, the wind's in their sails right now. They've had a really good day. I think looking at their placements, 8th, 2nd, 20th, 5th, 4th, and 5th, that kind of looks like a Sky and Scroll placement history. So interested to see what they can do tomorrow.
Well, look, their average placement today is 7.33, the exact same as Sky and Scrolls, right? So we talk about Sky and Scrolls' consistency in these games, and right now, Chino and Pablo proven to be just as consistent.
It's really exciting to see that top 10 as well, because we've got Size and Scary as these guys who are performing above expectations, and the pressure is going to be on their shoulders to keep up that consistency tomorrow. But then when you look at the other names there, Vico, Malibu, there have been questions over their consistency this season, and despite not getting any victory royales tonight, actually they have made it to multiple endgames, and Focus and Thomas as well. The highs have been extremely high today, Vinny Minor.
Yeah, they have. It's been nice to see those guys performing as we expect. Maybe we would have expected them to be a little bit higher up on the leaderboard here after after day number 1, but they have been performing. They've been in those end games, and it's very easy for that sort of team to slip up in this sort of section of the lobby as well, on this stage of the competition, because they've still got 6 games to go, so it's not done and dusted yet. But really excited to see what they can do tomorrow as well.
Well, anything can happen after 6 more games. So let's take a look at the rest of the leaderboard and just see what we're expecting to happen. I want to see where Reason and Noah have got to in particular after that game, but great to see Cammy and Harry still in that top 10. Dom and Demas, a fantastic performance from them in that last game, Mini Minor. A deserved 11th place jump.
Yeah, really big jump from them. Another team that's really jumping up as well, Hutty and Fishy. We thought that they would be jumping up 17 places. What I can't see here is Shark and Teeny. So it's like they're going to be outside of that top 20 right now. I think a lot of the discussion as well, thinking further on than just this, yeah, there they are, 21st, thinking further on than just this major final, was maybe Shark and Teeny are going to try and prevent Hutty and Fishy X from actually making the Major 1 Summit. But now, Levin, again, similar situation. Is it going to be the other way around? Is it going to be Hutty and Fishy X that are going to try and prevent Shark and Teeny from making the Major 1 Summit? It's all just completely flipped.
Yeah, my leaderboard wasn't refreshed, and so before that game, Shark and Teeny were in 14th. So they've actually not just taken their POI, they've taken their spot on the leaderboard as well. I mean, it's getting nasty out here. Tomorrow is going to be fun to watch for that alone. Just following what happens in Wonky Land will be exciting. Everybody's going to be expecting much more, though, from Shark and Teeny and a couple other of these names here, you know, who are outside of that top 20. At the end of the day, you just don't want to miss out on the first ever summit. 48th place, Swizzy and Pixie. Yeah, man. I mean, look, these are both of them are boys. You know, I'm big fans of them both, but it has to be better tomorrow.
Yeah, we really want to see these guys on LAN for the community, for the fans. Hopefully tomorrow they'll come back refreshed, renewed, and with some ideas as to how to get into that top 20. Yes, they might not take the first title of the year, but they could still get a spot on LAN. Everything is to play for tomorrow. So we are going to say goodbye, good night for now at 10:30 Central European summertime. Guys, I'm on BST, okay? 9:30 UK time. You can hang out with Zeke and the gang for the American lobby. But right now, we need to get ourselves ready for day 2. Boys, so for you guys at home, let's sound that horn.